Hello, hello. Happy Monday. Anyone else very confused on what day is what these days? I think since Mercury retrograde, we're done now. We're done. We're okay. I'm still confused on what day and time. Hello, hello. Happy Monday. I am jumping on for a quickie today. Hello. And just want to offer a little mini live virtual office hours if one is feeling so brave and so inclined. But really we're just doing text today, but we should do one. I think you can do one where you can have people request to join and do all that. Anyways, for another time. But today my 6-year-old has anxiety about her bad thoughts. Oh my gosh. It starts so young. They are so aware. So today I wanted to just jump on a little bit, offer a little virtual office hours, if you will. This is my favorite thing to do. Can I tell you? Doing Q&A is literally my favorite thing to do. I'm obsessed with it. It's part of my design. We'll say it's because of that. But it's part of my human design in that I love responding. I love it. It's my jam. And so when someone has a question, I love it's why I call myself an intuitive concierge, if you will, because I love pulling all the things that I have trained in, learned in, experienced, all the things, pulling them all together and dialing into a digestible form of information. And so anyways, I love Q&As, and that's why my office hours membership is starting this week, and that's literally what it is. It's Q&A. There's more to it besides that, besides the fact that I just love doing it. It's because it actually requires a lot of courage, expansion, willingness, skills, like up-leveled skills from the person receiving the facilitation, from the person asking the questions. It's very easy for us to sit back and consume content and learn more information. It's quite another thing, especially if you are an entrepreneur, a healer, a therapist, a coach, to get in front of people and expose your shadow. That is a whole different ballgame that I get. Some people are unwilling to choose. Why do I know? Because I've been there. Because I was very much unwilling to choose it for a long time as well, where I would get nervous in those groups. I'm like, hell no, am I going up there? I'm not going up there and asking a question, and almost be in judgment. Until I realized, well, it's because I was unwilling to expose me. Unwilling to expose where I'm seeking to learn and grow. Because shouldn't I have it all together? I've done all this training. I'm the psychologist. I should know better. That's some funny reasoning to be functioning from. That I should know it all? No. So it takes a lot. It takes a lot to expose one. And it's also the most healing, because when you hear other people willing to be courageous and expose it, and when you hear them going through similar things like you, and maybe you've pedestaled them, it is such a relief on your nervous system. It's a huge relief. And so there's just so much about it. So office hours is going to be literally completely unstructured in that regard. Undefined, as in what comes up is what is up for people, the energy that's up. And likely what's up for you is up for others. This is a common theme. So that's how it's going to be. Feel free to ask me questions, but basically I'm going to be in my virtual office twice a month on Thursdays at 1 Central. And if you're a part of it, you can jump in and ask questions and get facilitation. Let me know if y'all have questions on this. I'm starting a PsyD program this fall. Any tips? I graduated my undergraduate tomorrow. Congrats. In the process of getting your PsyD, remember to follow your knowing. Especially when we follow a path that is the most structured, right? The most structured, lots of points of view, lots of this is kind of how it is. Remember to stay in question and to trust what you know. And by that I mean intuitive knowing. And that will give you the most well-rounded point of view coming out of there. Right? Versus this is what I perhaps would have needed to hear when I went into it. Because I was very much of like, take it on, and then that's the belief system. So I encourage you to follow you. Okay, 6-year-old thoughts come from being scared of cartoons. Stories her friends have told her. What can I do? With your daughter, it would look like teaching her nervous system regulation, because it's just, she's attuning to a nervous frequency easily. And then it can be from all these sorts of things, right? Then all of a sudden she's more freaked out about the cartoons or the friends or whatever. But if she was more regulated, some of that stuff wouldn't be as triggering. So to me, it sounds like she's just very energetically sensitive, which is cool, and needing to learn how to understand these energies. So actually tapping is really great for 6-year-olds. You can teach the tapping points. There's lots of YouTube videos on it, and look up EFT tapping and show her that it's a magical tool that can really help with her anxiety. And also dance parties. So it's really, to me, it's a lot of nervous system regulation. Having a dance party with your family and your kids is like a great way to get everybody regulated. Tips to love yourself and accept yourself as you are. I mean, it's the combination of releasing judgment and allowance. So allowance for right where you're at. Knowing that the beliefs, the thoughts that are coming through are merely based on a familiar radio station. Not true. Not true. Thoughts and momentum, it's all on a frequency. So when you can start to recognize that, it's really just interesting that, let's say you don't love yourself. It's a well-practiced belief. But what if it wasn't even true? It was just something that was well-rehearsed. And so that you could train yourself out of it. Which means if you're going really hard on something that you don't like and you're seeking to come to a 180 of, okay, I love myself, you probably won't get there in 5 minutes. Like, I hate myself, I love myself. There's like all these steps along the way. And moving yourself through that looks like going more general first. So going with things you can get behind, right? If there's something about you that you struggle with, like, what are the things that you do like about yourself? The more you can train yourself to get your attention off what you don't like and on what you do like, that seems like the simplest thing, but it's something that I am currently getting more and more. Paying attention, putting your attention on the things you do like, and take your attention off the things you don't. My gosh. Thank you for the badges. How to fast track wrong conditioning since childhood. Fast track wrong conditioning. Well, knowing that, it means it's not just you, it is collective. So this is where some of that stuff can take a little bit longer. But starting to see things as just interesting. Well, that's interesting. It's not right or wrong. It's just interesting. It's not failure. It's just feedback. Right? Starting to come from that place of, that's interesting. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's just interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's a different frequency. And this comes about by staying in question and functioning from a yes-no versus right-wrong. we have been taught right, wrong, good, bad, that's the way to be, and it is like killer for our bodies. Versus yes, no, it's not personal, I'm just following energy that would create greater for me, and choose from that. It's quite different. And honestly, when you are choosing for you and from that place of tapping into the energy, attuning with the energy, then usually it is better for others as well. I have this like light here, but it's like so bright. Like it's blinding me. Yeah, she's very energetically sensitive. Did you say, oh, EFT tapping? So EFT, like the words, just like emotion freedom technique tapping. So if you YouTube that, even like EFT tapping for kids. Okay, I'm gonna turn this light off. I'm feeling light sensitive right now. I was like trying to light up my face more, but it's not the vibe. Okay. Yeah, so it's just a really great tool for kiddos. Any idea how to control fear of failing exams? When we are in fear of something, it's because we resist being it. So you resist failing. Why? You fear it. And I know that might sound weird. However, if you can get out of resistance with it, then you would be willing to fail, and then it would no longer be fearful. If you're willing to fail, willing to do things terribly, willing to do them wrongly, then you can still show up. But you are resisting failing. Because here's the thing, it's like, what's the worst that can happen? I failed my EPPP the first time. EPPP is the National Psychology Licensure Exam. It's very intense. It tests you on all sorts of things that you weren't trained in school. It's silly. It's a lot. And I just wanted to get it over with. And so I probably took it a little, I'm a little premature. I like to jump the gun on things. I choose a little premature, and I was like, I'm ready. I needed a little more time. I passed it the second time. It's fine. Did it cost me some tears? Did it cost me some more money? Did it cost me some more time? Cost. It's just interesting. I required a second time. Does it affect me now? No, not even a little bit. None of the tests I failed in college or didn't pass or did poorly on have no effect on me now. So what if you zoomed past the point of failing and to the point, playing out the tape all the way to how you would handle it, right? That can get you past the point of being concerned about it. Or at least lessening it, I would say. My 10-year-old son is riddled with anxiety and fear of failure. He's extremely intelligent, does very well in school, and is athletic, popular, but will perseverate about tests for hours. Yeah, so it was something that I might encourage him to have him in therapy. And what has he decided that is so wrong about failing? Again, these kids they're just so sensitive to the judgment that we've decided is so valuable. I would like to create content around mental health. However, I'm not a psychologist. I wanted to study it, but never did. And now I'm too burnt out to study anything. How would you let go of that? Yeah, so just because you're not a psychologist or a therapist doesn't mean you can't talk about it. It means talking about it from a place of integrity and in scope of practice. So for somebody that, let's say, let's say you have training in dance and movement, and you see how that impacts mental health, you can talk about it from your own experience. This is what has helped me. This is what has facilitated me, right? Based on your own lens, because then it's N of one. You're talking about your experience. Not necessarily saying like, this is what works for everyone. This is what works for me. Do you want to try it? And invite others to do the same. Versus saying that, well, I can heal your trauma and things like that. Then it's like, well, we're getting a little out of scope. So we want to make sure we're speaking in what we are trained in, and also what truly we sense like we have a good handle on in our lives. Like, I'm not sure if I will study psychology because it is such an investment. Yes, for sure. Also, do you actually recommend studying it, or can the traditional psychological education disturb a bit? I mean, it was my path, so, that's just interesting at the time that I chose it. When people ask me this, it's really, it is a lot. It's a lot of time and it's a lot of resources. So you really have to look at, does it light you up? Like, is there something in there that you're aware of that you can't get out if you don't choose it? Because for somebody, it may be like, yes, the perfect answer for them, and somebody else not. So it was exactly what I required at the time. Now, if I were choosing it, I probably wouldn't choose that path like today, but it's like, because I have it already, you know what I mean? So I think there's many ways to discuss mental health that don't involve this crazy long journey that can look like lots of different, like neurolinguistic programming and learning EMDR or EFT tapping, or learning all these other tools, or access consciousness, that can be such a contribution to folks. So it really just depends. Does it feel right to choose? I'm going to wrap this up in a couple minutes. I got to take Bucky to the groomer. The times I said? Do you mean for office hours? It's going to be, there's a link in my bio. It's going to be, I believe, Thursday, every other Thursday at 1. Not yet, therapy. Okay. He doesn't want others to think he's not smart. Yeah, it's like the faster we can learn to be willing to expose ourselves, and I literally just did a podcast on this, the better it would help us. And so, I sense like, obviously not forcing it, but normalizing it, as in he doesn't have to tell people, he's going to therapy or choosing that or whatnot. There's lots of ways to do that, to see if he'd be willing. Dance party and EFT, yes. Let me see. I can answer one more question if there's anything else. Anywho, office hours starts on Thursday. It's my favorite thing. I'll post this, so if you didn't catch the beginning, I talked a little bit more about it, but it's my jam. I love that. It is literally my favorite thing to do. So if you feel pinged or you have more questions, DM me, but I'll be talking a lot more about it in the next couple days. All right, y'all. I'll see you soon. Thanks for coming.